Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. Today we're over on the test account. We just did get a little bit of an update, guys. March 30 hotfix. Below is the updated changes. The hero swap event extended the duration of the event. Now we know at this point of the hero swap over on the test server, we did not have that much long. I think we had a little less than 2 weeks. They actually extended it to 19 days. So they did a pretty decent exchange, or the duration of the event is extended for quite a bit. And that is really to overlap the awakened chests that you're going to get, all of the time emblems that you're going to get from the events that are going on with the 4th anniversary. So you'll actually have an ability to get some more, or if you want to acquire some more of the awakened heroes, you can go ahead and do that. So we can go ahead and swap them. Now today's video, guys, we're going to be looking at a hero swap event, a guide that is over on Reddit. Absolutely phenomenal with Steel Sauce. I love the guide. I want to lay it out, and I've sent this to a couple people who have been asking the same questions that I've been getting in the video. Who should I swap? When should I swap? What should I do? Let's go ahead and check out the guide. All right, guys, so here it is. And again, a big shout out to Steel Sauce. I dropped out my camera on this one. Hero swap event, April 1st to the 14th. As we know now, it is going to be much longer than the 14th. So very cool exchange right there. All copies of the heroes that are swapped. Now, all copies, this is the reason why banking a bunch of copies in your bag, like a lot of players were saying, is not going to work. You can see we have Mythic and Legendary. We are swapping for one Legendary copy. All of a sudden, Aezizh takes this position as a Legendary hero. And then we get a Mythic for a Mythic. You get a Elite, or a Legendary for a Legendary. So this gives you copy net gain 6 Awakened Soulless copies, and you are losing those Aezizh copies. So it is literally a swap for a swap, which we'll look at again in just a minute. So tier 1, the Awakened heroes. These are the heroes that you do want to swap for if you have the opportunity, depending on who you built. And I agree wholeheartedly with this, guys. Aezizh, if you built Aezizh, even in pretty much any manner, there's no utility for him. Even within the tower, I do not utilize him, just for the simple fact he messes up the Lucretia cheese if that's who you're running it with. Now, the Awakened version of Taylene, a ton of players built because she was the very first one. She is strong, especially in the Celestial Tower, but she's not very good anywhere else compared to the other 4. Now, with that being said, really it is the other 3, because I would put definitely the Awakened version of Thane probably in the very back. I know he does have a little bit of utility, but out of these 4 in their entirety, the Awakened version of Soulless, absolutely. I would put Baden and Brutus on the same level, just because their utility is very similar, meaning that they're used in the Curse Realm, they're used in the Treasure Scramble, they're used in the Nightmare Corridor, they are also being used in their respective towers. Pretty much almost identical utility, still seeing a lot of campaign usage. I've actually used them quite a bit. Now with Thane, I don't see him as much. We don't see him as much in the Curse Realm. I believe this version of the corridor that we have right now, he is being utilized, but Treasure Scramble, he is very important. But again, so are all of them. All 4 of these guys are best in slot when it comes to the Treasure Scramble. That's why, again, I would kind of put the Awakened version of Baden, or excuse me, the Awakened version of Thane, just down a little bit more. Level-wise, I would definitely build Brutus or Baden before I would build Thane. And both of those heroes, again, very similar utility. Getting either of those would be very, very good. Now, again, the Celestial Tower, it might be the time to push it if you are going to be swapping the Awakened version of Taylene, just because she is one of the key heroes in there. So it's going to be a little bit more difficult to go through the Celestial Tower. But also, if you can murk the heroes, guys, that's another big part of this game. Even when it comes to the Cursed Realm and the Nightmare Corridor, if you can murk a hero, let's say we have the choice between the Awakened version of Brutus and Baden. I have the ability to murk the Awakened version of Brutus. I would go ahead and build Baden. That way you can actually have both of these available for those game modes. Now, the Treasure Scramble, you cannot use the murked copies, but for the Cursed Realm and the Nightmare Corridor, you can, which is good. So now, let's remove the Awakened heroes. Tier 2, Celestial Hypogen. Looking at the 2 heroes that are going to be swapped. Flora is niche, and that is very true, guys. There are a lot of places, including if you don't have that Awakened version of Taylene, Flora is one of the damage dealers. but she still does have some utility like in a stall team, which is good to see, where Wukong has zero utility anywhere. And I like exactly how Steel Sauce laid this out. So Lucretia, of course, to that ascended. Now Alna you have to be careful with, because if your Wukong is pretty well built, Alna doesn't really need to be built out an incredible amount. Plus 20 signature item, 9 of 9 furniture will suit her very well, meaning that where a hero like Vathiel requires all the fully engraved, same with Halos, these heroes and Lucretia require the engraving to be super high. So if you are a player that went ahead and did the engraving on Wukong, if you built up Wukong with a high signature item, high furniture, even if you added in the engraving, even in here, guys, I would swap to one of these 3 heroes, depending on who you have built, rather than swapping to Alna and building up her engraving, because again, doesn't really make a huge difference on her, where these heroes do not function to the level they need to without that engraving. Mortis and Khazard are fine at Mythic. Both of those you don't really need any higher. Again, I wouldn't swap either of these, just for the simple fact it's not super difficult to build heroes. And even here, guys, we have the Challenger Shore, but Kanisa and Rook. So you have 5 pretty good heroes to build within here. Most of the other heroes are kind of the niche heroes. You'll see some utility within the tower. You might see them in a stage here or there, but overall, even out of these, not an incredible amount of utility when it comes to the Celestials and Hypogens and building them out. Now, tier 3, these are our basic faction heroes. And again, over investment, you can see the exclamation points right here. Over investments in some of these heroes can actually throw off some of the other stuff. And I would even add in here, if you have right here, we have Shamira, we have Lucius. I would also put Thorin in here. If you did go ahead and you built out Thorin like I did with a much higher engraving, it could be worth a swap again. If you're not swapping for anything else, Thorin could be a good swap if you did engrave him, because it'll work to a point, but ultimately without the engraving, he does work a little bit better. So looking here, guys, all of these are absolute key heroes within AFK Arena. We have Scarlet, we have Damon, we have Grez, we have Mishka, we have Oden, we have Raku, we have Kren, Anasta, Peanut, and then of course the new ones. And remember, the hero has to be 2022 or older, meaning that none of the heroes that we have in 2023 can be exchanged. I believe when you look at Tamaris, when you look at Edwin, when you look at Cariso, all of those heroes cannot be exchanged, which means these are the core heroes. And all of these heroes you need built. Every different game mode utilizes, Palmer, Nevi, Silas. All of the other game modes utilize almost all of these heroes in their entirety, especially if you are free to play and you don't have all of the heroes completed or the whole collection done. Definitely going to need to get some of these heroes. And again, the overinvestment warning, make sure to swap in the higher tier. If you don't have a fully ascended hero to swap, consider how many of the heroes copies you would gain. Remember, Awakened are far more difficult to get than the Celestial or Hypogen, which are more expensive than the 4 heroes. Gaining a few copies of an Awakened versus a fully ascended Celestial or Hypogen is a tough call. And again, he says it right here, there is no answer. Couple things just to keep in mind. You have to have 1 copy. This is something we did not know till we hit the hero swap. You have to have 1 copy of the hero you're swapping for. So if you're looking up here, guys, and you're swapping for, let's say, Vathiel, Kanisa, and Rook, you have to have 1 copy to do the swap. Without them, you're not going to be able to do the swap. We're getting the event soon with at least 1 free Awakened hero from the hero selector, which I did the video last night. We know that is coming up. Only heroes from 2022 or earlier. You get 1 swap in 14 days to do it. And I believe this is now to about 21 days in total. So they did change it today. Must clear 1940. All copies in the inventory and mail are swapped. This means you cannot Stargaze Awakened heroes. Keep those copies intact. So what a lot of players were saying is go ahead, Stargaze to a hero. Let's say you have the Awakened version of Solus at 1 star, and that's who you're planning to swap, which I do not recommend. Stacking all kinds of copies in the bag through the Stargazer and then swapping, the copies will follow. Claim buy all copies of Wukong or Flora from the chest before swapping. Yep, you want to do this as well, claim or buy all copies of Wukong or Flora. You will also be able to get Flora and Wukong from the shop, so you can actually buy them again if you need to. You can swap faction emblems by using them on a hero before swapping them. If you don't swap and you have 30 ascended heroes, you'll get 10,000 diamonds. And here is Floofpire, Majestic Floofs, very cool, guys. There's the Discord link. Big shout out again to Steel Sauce. This is really cool to put the video kind of in a form. I'm going to put the link down to this guy down below. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. And as always, thank you guys for watching.